I am so late doing this review. I intended to actually post this on Halloween Day. I got distracted with a bunch of stuff and whatever, but I cannot let it pass me by. I have to release it. And my anticipation for this film was kind of high. Not in a blockbuster kind of way, but I thought it would be a really fun horror movie, and it actually was. I'm talking about Mr. Crocket on Hulu, written and directed by Brandon Espy, written by Brandon Espy and Carl Reid, and then it's starring Jerrika Hinton and Elvis Nolasco as Mr. Crocket. But before we get into the review, you know what to do. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when I drop the next reviews. So this review, it will have spoilers towards the end because it's a little bit older of a film and it's also on streaming. So at any point you can pause this, come back to it, whatever you want to do, so you can make sure you finish the movie before you get to the spoilers if that's something that you care about. And actually, this description is going to be really short because of the premise of the film. You can't really talk about what it's about without really getting into spoilers. So I'm just going to say a couple of sentences. Essentially, the film is about the spirit of a man named Mr. Crocket, who his spirit is on this VHS tape that's circulating around, and he can come out of the television and create like this portal and take children, and in most cases they're never heard from again. That's the basic premise, and that's all that there's gonna be for the no spoiler part. You know what? No, there won't be. I'll say this for the no spoiler part. The film is not what I expected, but I did enjoy it. It was, to me, it was very funny. I'm sure it probably wasn't supposed to be, but it was funny. It wasn't a scary film to me. It was one of those horror films where all the horror is obvious. So there's not that element of suspense. You don't have those times where you're on the edge of your seat wondering what's going to happen next. For me, it wasn't that way. For some people, it may be. This by no means was a terrifying film. It's a little bit bloody in certain parts. Actually, yeah, there's a couple of parts that are like pretty gory. I think it's rated TVMA, if I'm not mistaken. But again, like I said, it's on Hulu, so you can go watch it anytime. The story, to be honest with you, and see, this is the thing for me. A lot of these straight to streaming films get slept on, but the stories are often really good. Mr. Crocket is one of the few films that left me with zero questions. Throughout the course of the film, there were questions that I was asking, but by the time we got to the very end, Mr. Crocket himself literally sat down. It's like he did it on purpose to answer our frequently asked questions. He literally sat down and explained everything about who he is and how he came to be. So there was no reason for any question to be left whatsoever. And I was happy about that, because too often we get to the end of a film and it's like, well, what the hell? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? You know, this film doesn't do that, and I appreciate that. There are some films when you're left to decide for yourself which direction something went, and that's okay depending on how it's written. I had an example in my mind at that moment, but I won't dwell trying to remember it. If it comes up again, I'll make sure I mention it. But I'm happy with how it turned out. It's not a film that I'm like, oh my God, this is the best film of the year. I don't feel like that. You know, it's like when you watch a Lifetime movie. Most of the times when you watch a Lifetime movie, you're not going to feel like this is one of the best movies you've ever seen, right? But we watch those Lifetime movies because we enjoy them. Period. That's kind of all there is to say. We actually enjoy those stories. Those stories are generally pretty compelling. And so it's the same with Mr. Crocket. It was filmed well. Sound design was good. I don't really have any gripes about the film at all. Now to get into the spoiler portion. So what happens is, in the beginning, Mr. Crocket takes someone's kid. But the way that it happens is, and this is basically what introduces us to the why of Mr. Crocket. He hates to see children abused. In a way, Mr. Crockett's an anti-hero, actually. Mr. Crocket is Magneto. Mr. Crocket is Thanos. Mr. Crocket is Venom. You know, he is that person that cares about humanity in his own special way and doesn't mind killing to get there, right? But I mean, I won't say humanity. He cares about the children. So if you have that Mr. Crocket VHS in your home and you're playing the Mr. Crocket VHS, and at that same time you're loud talking your kids, or you're being abusive, or you're just not treating them the way that Mr. Crocket feels like children should be treated, he's going to come out of that VHS, more than likely kill you, and then take the child never to be seen again. As the movie, when he was doing this, of course, my first question was, how? What are you? Right? Are you a demon? Are you a spirit? How are you coming through this television? And it reminds me of season 2 of Them on Amazon Prime. I won't go too far into detail on that because this is not about that, but the way the people were dying in that show, and they were ending up all crumpled and twisted like a pretzel, even with no one near them, that would happen. It took me a long time to kind of wrap my mind around that situation. At first, that's how I felt about this. But as the movie progresses, we find out a little bit more about Mr. Crocket and how he does what he does. So he ends up taking this one kid. I want to say his name was Major. He takes Major, but Major's mom never gave up. She kept looking and kept looking, and she gathered information, and she ended up gathering about 2 other parents, one of which was not actually a parent, but I'll get to that point. And they tried to stalk. No. Major was the first kid that was taken. I don't remember. I think the parent's name was Summer. I don't remember Summer's son's name, but I think Major was the first kid that was taken in the movie. But anyway, Summer is the parent who didn't give up, and she kept trying to find her kid. And it's been a couple of weeks since I saw the film, but somehow they played a trick, and they ended up being able to follow Mr. Crocket into one of his portals that he created, and it basically took them to hell. That's where they were. They were actually in hell, but that's where the portal led to. So it was in hell that Mr. Crocket sits down and tells his story. And that story is that he actually had a TV show. That TV show is real. That it would, Mr. Crocket, and he's, doing a children's TV show and whatever. He loved the kids. He ended up taking a child from his audience, and he wasn't harming the kid. He wasn't abusing the kid or nothing like that. He wasn't a pedophile. He wasn't that kind of person. I think Freddy Krueger was a pedophile. He wasn't like that. He just knew that the child wasn't being treated properly, and he knew that he could treat the child better. Of course, kidnapping is still wrong, but the point that I'm making is he wasn't a creep on like Freddy Krueger level. So he would, he stole the kid, and he was just at his house chilling, essentially. Police came looking for him, and long story short, they shot and killed Mr. Crocket. Mr. Crocket went to hell. I skipped a good part. When Mr. Crocket was a kid, he killed his father for beating on him and stuff like that, right? So he grows up, and of course, he's got this soft spot for kids not being treated properly. Now, fast forward back to the cop killing him. He goes to hell. He makes a deal with the devil and says, basically, if you give me my own slice of hell and allow me the power to go back to earth whenever I want to. Basically, I'll kill the parents who do children wrong, and I'll take the children for myself, and they'll live here with me in hell and whatever. So that's essentially the story of Mr. Crocket. Now, remember when I said there were 3 parents? Okay, 2 of them were actually parents. One of them was that child that Mr. Crocket took when he was a kid. He had such an impact on that young kid that I forgot how the kid, oh yeah, that right. After the cops killed him, they took the kid. Yeah. That kid has been wanting to find Mr. Crocket since then. So he posed as one of the parents to get the other 2 parents to help him get to hell to find Mr. Crocket. And then when he got to hell, he double crossed the parents and he thought that Mr. Crocket would take him in. Mr. Crocket was like, I don't know you, sir. Like, you are not a nice, sweet little boy. You're just as bad as them. But again, that's that anti-hero talk, right? Because you're killing parents, but you're talking to this guy like he's unworthy of your love. Go figure. But that's essentially how Mr. Crocket goes. Like I said, I enjoy the movie, and my favorite part about it is that, like I said, the man had a full story. That is something you hardly ever get, a full 100% complete story with no question. Mr. Crocket, in my opinion, was actually a well-written character. I mean, you have a young abused kid who, because he thought he had no choice, killed his dad, grows up, gets a TV show. Really, he's only wanting to help kids, but he went about it the wrong way. So he ends up dying. I think he actually he stabbed one of the cops. That's why they killed him. The first cop that came in the house, he stabbed him and killed him. And so the second cop shot him. But again, he took the kid thinking he was doing what was right for the kid. Then you die and go to hell and come back. I love his story. So shouldn't be taking children, but I like the story. So that's my little review on Mr. Crocket. Have you seen it? Do you intend to see it? Let me know what you thought. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when I drop the next reviews. See y'all next time.